Hello, friends. Welcome to the Rewind. Draq and I are thankful that you have decided to make us a part of your week, and we'll continue to bring you the current news concerning Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Sometimes our takes are overly positive, and other times it will be venting frustrations, but we will always strive to be as honest as possible about the comings and goings of the game we have spent years following. If you enjoy listening to us each week, make sure to click that like and subscribe button to help others find us through the crazy YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to support us even further, please look to the link in the description for our Patreon page and pick the best tier for you. We also have other programs with great static groups of people playing several different MMOs, from World of Warcraft to Guild Wars 2 over on our Twitch channel, and then YouTube VODs shortly thereafter. This week, we've got a new show called Bros Before Foes that started yesterday. Whoops. Go check out Mr. Coddleshire and Gulo and laugh alongside their co-op adventures. This week, we have a special guest, meaning it will likely be a longer show than our typical hour-ish length we strive for. So make sure you stretch, stay hydrated with Draq's second favorite snack, water, and enjoy the soothing tones of one of our favorite content creators, RedBeardFlynn.
Our gaming weeks.
Gaming weeks.
Woo! This week has been a little slow on the gaming for me. I've just had a lot of stuff to do this week. We did, however, have the After Dark stream. We did Pantheon Summoners. The highlight of that stream for me is when we went into the Goblin Dungeon and we ran up against a healer mob in the Goblin Dungeon, and it healed to full every time, and so we couldn't get past it because summoners
versus one healer equals healer wins.
There's summoners, at least at level 10, don't have an interrupt, so it was hilarious. I think we spent like 20 minutes before we finally had to run, so that was just hilarious.
It was not good. It was not a good look for us when we are toting that 6 summoners are way too OP. It just did not go in our favor that week. So then we ran off to spiders and did okay there.
It was all right. Also this week, I know this is sacrilege and I promise never to mention again, but Random Rob's got me into a little bit of college football, EA College Football 25.
Get your sport ball out of here.
Get the sports ball out. But it's kind of RPG like. You get like there's a tree, like an MMO, honest to goodness, MMORPG talent tree for your coaches. No, I'm not. It's
for your coaches, not even your players?
No, not the players. The players have like attributes and like stats, and they're better at different things than other players, but it's really cool. And I'm kind of getting a little bit addicted to it, but we won't be covering that here.
10 hours into it in one day so far.
I've sunk in like maybe 4 hours.
Okay, well, good for you.
And then the last thing I've been playing is I reinstalled Marvel Snap. I loved that when it came out. I've just kind of gotten back into it. I needed a phone game, and that's my phone game. So Marvel Snap.
You mean you're not playing Infinite Toad?
No,
or
Infinitoad.
Infinitoad. I much prefer Infinite Toad.
Infinite Toad.
I actually have been playing it. So thank you, Joppa, for recommending a phone game. It's pretty fun. It's, kind of basic for the most part. You just got your regular towers, your sniper towers, your explode everything around it towers, AoE, I guess we call that in the MMO world, don't we? Yeah, it's super basic, but it's fun. It gives you a nice little tutorial. It looks pretty pay to winish, just like any other phone game. But it doesn't blast me with ads. That's the best part. I finally found a TD on my phone that's not just making me watch ads every 5 seconds. That was the most important thing. So appreciate you, Joppa. Good looking out for all of us that like to play tower defense on our phones. So now I've got a phone game again. I actually have not played a phone game in months. Like, I've just tried to step away from the mobile games altogether because they're usually terrible and they usually are trying to force me to buy something. So I'm out on phone games also whatsoever. So this is good. It's good to have this. Also, Draq and I have been playing some EQ2 on the Origin server. I know, Redbeard, you've been playing some Origins too. How have you been enjoying your time there?
Well, I haven't had internet, so it's been pretty bad.
That's real bad.
With trying to enjoy the EverQuest 2 Origin server. But when I have
so far,
had
so
internet, Yeah, when I have had internet, I've been enjoying it. I'm going very slow, very, very slow. I think I'm only level 10, but I've actually crafted more in like the short time that Origin server has been out than like I actually did the entire time that I played EverQuest 2 when it first came out. And my crafting level is one level higher than my regular level. So that's interesting.
Well, they all take forever. So like to be a level 11 artisan or whatever you're picking, and level 10 is still, to me, 21 levels. Like that crafting takes forever. So I'm, don't feel too bad. You've been putting some work in. So I'm glad you got your internet back so you can start playing again. If you need someone to tank for you, let me know. I'm happy to mentor down.
Yeah. I need someone to come and mentor down for RedBeardFlynn and my little brigand self, because I'm getting my ass kicked for the most part.
Yeah, once you hit 20 and you can start doing those armor quests, then it makes all the difference.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Until then, it's just a little rough. Don't go to the peat bog. That's a bad place. Vendini would be very upset if you went to the peat bog. He hates that place for whatever reason. Evidently, it's the worst of all the little areas to go to. So, but yeah, man, always let Draq or I know. We're happy to help.
Sure. I wanna validate Draq here with college football 25.
This is my favorite part.
Specifically because Man of Rohan famously said that Pong is an RPG. So if Pong is an RPG, then college football 25 can be an RPG. And if we go with all that, I don't even know. It's just chaos, I guess. But that's where we're at, I guess.
I'm gonna clip it and put it on the soundboard. It's a done deal.
Wonderful. I do remember, what was the game that was definitely an RPG that you guys said that was not an RPG?
Okay, when you say you guys.
Yeah, you guys.
No.
I'm lumping you people all together in your one podcast.
Listen, Man of Rohan said that Fable wasn't an RPG. We didn't say that. Desrin and I did not say that. That slander is on Man of Rohan. We are not part of that.
Noted. I will make sure to send him a message to remind him that we talked with you and that he is not right and really needs to go look at that game again.
But actually, I did one of the games I did get to play when I had some internet, which kind of sucks that you need internet for it. But I've been playing a bunch of Dragon Age Inquisition lately to kind of get ready for the new one, and there's some good things I remember about that game, and there's some annoying things, but it's still nice to kind of revisit that, and that's been a fun little side game that I've been playing by myself. You really get to feel how much it tries to emulate MMOs in that game, like with how the game is constructed when you go back and play it now.
Yeah, I love the Dragon Ages. I played them all and beat them all, and Inquisition though was my least favorite one.
Yep.
I feel like it got away from the Trinity, really. And that's what I really liked about the first ones is I constructed my group as with like an MMO Trinity group. Like I had a tank and a healer and 2 DPS. Like we were going. Inquisition really got away from that, and that was the sad part about that for me.
Yeah. It's a very pretty game though. It has some like really impressive vistas and stuff, especially like the areas near the coast in that game are really impressive when you consider it's 10 years old.
Also, yeah, it was kind of breaking for its time, right? Because it was extremely open world when that wasn't really quite the thing at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's still kind of mission based in a weird way, but not. I don't know. It's weird because you have these missions and you go to these locations, right? So you go back to one area and then you go out into a specific area, like a zone. So it's open world in that it has zones, I guess.
Yeah, they did open world their own way. They were like, doing it your crazy way.
Have you been keeping up with Stardew Valley at all?
Stardew Valley? No.
That's just like my favorite game to watch you play for no reason. I don't like the game. I don't like the any
voice
part of
acting, right? It's the voice
Yeah,
acting.
that's gotta be it. But
and
I
yelling,
definitely remember
yelling
spending
about
hours.
Haley.
That bitch, Haley.
And then
Yeah.
finding out that apparently my first impression of her was actually trying to I guess accidentally kill her with grass because she's allergic to it. I don't know.
Who's allergic to grass?
I don't know. Haley.
What a terrible life that would be. Sorry for anybody listening
It
if you're
really-
allergic to grass, but
Yeah.
I hate the outdoors, but at least I'm not allergic to grass.
You know, one game, and I don't want to go too far off this, but one game like that's coming out. I don't know if you've heard about it, but the Emberville.
Emberville. Very nice.
Emberville. Yeah. Looks like a really good game, really good RPG. I'm excited about it.
Well, I'll be watching you stream it. While I play Cozy EQ3 Palia.
Now officially owned by Daybreak.
Yeah, it's happening. That's what we came to the conclusion a couple episodes back. This is everyone that's working on Palia is going to go start working on EQ3, and EQ3 is going to be cozy. It's a cozy MMO.
It's a landmark.
Yeah. You just go talk to Vox and make friends with her.
She sends you on a quest to get grapes.
Hey, no, you say that, but that's actually EverQuest 2. You literally go talk to Vox, and you're friends with her.
Yeah, I guess you do go talk to Nagy as well to learn to speak like a dragon. So yeah, that makes sense. Well,
yep. There you go.
Now there's even more proof.
Oh, it's down the
EverQuest
path.
3 is
from 2004
MMO. Oh, I can't wait.
This week, Dymlos and I are off on another amazing adventure, and we wouldn't go anywhere without our adventure party and our raid group. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It really means a lot to us. This week, in our raid tier, we have Ziplox, the Darkmere Rogue, and Grogu, the Human Warrior. In our adventuring party, we have Anton Doviditis, the Darkmere Shaman Glyphkeeper, and Churro the Gnome Summoner. After we meet in the tavern and lay down all our plans, we're definitely off to raid that dragon cave we saw earlier and get some gold. It's either that or make another top 5 list. I don't know which one's going to happen.
This week in Visionary Realms News and Notes.
Dymlos and I from last week, after the show was over, after it premiered on Saturday, we sat down and we were like, ugh, we can't be this frustrated with Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is our game. We cannot be this frustrated. We have to turn the ship around. We got to find something that's going to get us back to being excited again. This early announcement thing cannot be the end of us and Pantheon. So
I know.
We got together, and our brilliant idea is to have RedBeardFlynn talk us off the ledge. It's all on RedBeardFlynn. We just gave our thoughts last week, but I just kind of want to do a back and forth of here's what I think, and here's the problems I have, and then someone that likes the early access idea gives me their thoughts, and maybe I can. I'm a person that my mind can be changed. So maybe I'm just missing some stuff. Maybe I just don't.
I'm sorry, what?
Dymlos, not so much a person that minds can be changed. But me, my mind can be changed.
Maybe I just have never changed your mind, and maybe that's surprising to me to hear you say that.
So let's start. I've got it all thought out because I think by writing things down. So I've got it written out. So I'm going to write it down or tell my issues, and then Dymlos can chime in, and then RedBeardFlynn can tell us why we're wrong. Number 1, Seasons has been a win. There's no denying that. It's been a complete win for VR. I think moving to the Seasons format has been fantastic. I think they've got more subs. I think they've got more interest. I think the people, the VIPs that have been playing Seasons, I think it feels great. But here we are, July 16th, that's when we're recording, and we do not have one new piece of new world building content. Every single zone, area, that is in the game currently was in the game 3 years ago. And that's a problem because we're not moving forward. We're recycling the content that we had before, and we're launching EA when we don't have any new content. And that seems problematic to me.
Now we've seen it, we've seen inklings of Silent Plains, which is awesome. But yeah, and then on top of that, the not having new playable content for each season, which was originally promised. Again, we know to take things with a grain of salt, and that we were promised playable content every 6 weeks, every 6 to 8 weeks if they needed to take some time off with these seasons, but they did not deliver that. So the fact that Chris Rowan can put out a message that says we've hit every single thing every single goal we've made. Well, no, we haven't done that. And it's frustrating that we are having all this great momentum with the seasons, or the pumpkins and commas, as we like to call them here. And then we just, it's been 6 months. We got to change what we're doing to change for change. So yeah, it's been a little frustrating. We finally found something that has won. These last 6 months have been good, and they have been meeting some, not all, deadlines. And so it's just a little frustrating to now we've got this new thing where they're going to pause seasons altogether. They're going to come out with this early access thing and then hopefully resume the season format so that we continue to get new stuff along the way. But I just don't fathom how we're going to get so much in so little. I hope they do come out. I hope that the early access is a win and they have what they promised: the 6 zones, the 6 races, and the 12 playable classes. I hope that all comes to fruition, and that it comes with all the good stuff too, like the lore and all the perception pings and all that fun stuff that we've kind of been looking forward to as the next step in our MMO adventure. Without all that stuff, if it's just here's 6 zones, 12 playable classes, and 6 races, well, that's still kind of boring. There's not really any game. It's just we got some new things to look at for a little while. So I don't know. It just is. It's a little struggle. I'm on the struggle bus right now with this one.
Okay, so you want me to chime in here?
Hit us back
a little bit.
Yeah. Give us everything you got.
Okay, so first off, the thing about seasons, I'm looking back at it. Well, one, the trying to describe seasons to people has been a absolute nightmare for 6 months. Not even 6 months, but trying to describe, there's actually no content that goes away. No, it's not. You don't pay every season. Like, no. Basically, that whole communication of what seasons are wasn't just a one-time thing. It was an issue constantly going forward. So I think while seasons itself was good, as a development cadence, and it was good for the people that were invested in the game, seasons to people that were outside of the game development, so outside of the Discord, people that are not really probably listening to this podcast, it sounds like, they're pay to win, or they have battle passes or something like that, because that terminology has such weight on it. And so I think that even dropping the naming of seasons at all was a good idea. And so I think in that sense, anything was better. Anything was better than that. I made a suggestion of just calling them testing phases. Just something to differentiate from the kind of stuff that we hate seeing in other games. And I look back at that, the Ranger and Summoner season, and I think, was that in part because they had this plan already? So missing that content, right? Because it was said, we're going to be expanding the world out with every season, and that was the whole goal. And classes weren't going to be a thing. That wasn't the stuff that would be a season, because those would just come in when they were ready. So I think we ended up getting. I think there's a possibility, and this is just my thought on this, that they made the idea, they wanted this perhaps even as far back as before like 247, they wanted to do something like this. And then Seasons was a proving, right? Can we do this? And then they did it for basically, what, 3? And from there, they're like, okay, we'll do it. But to do it, we have to change this timeline. Because if you notice during that timeline, there's a lot of work that started on Halnir Cave. There's a lot of work starting on Silent Plains. All of that work was starting before the seasons were completed, before the Ranger and Summoner. So that makes me think they had this plan for a while, but I mean, who knows? I don't know. Maybe this could just be another flop to something else. But I think also for people that have been following Pantheon for any amount of time, there's lack of a willingness to give the benefit of the doubt because there has been so much. So you have Seasons, and that was good. But before that, there was missed dates, there was like promises and things that never happened, never materialized for various reasons. But there's lack of willingness to give that benefit of the doubt. Like even in talking about early access, one of the things I noticed was if they get this content in, I'm kind of like, well, yeah, if they don't, it's a failure. Like, I mean, it's as simple as that. If they do not have six zones in, at least the content level that they currently have, if they do not have the playable races that they said, if they do not have the stuff that they have already advertised, it's a failure. But if they do have that, it's a success. And so until I'm not assuming it's going to be a failure, I'm going to assume it's going to be a success until I'm proven otherwise. I assumed it would be a success with Seasons, and it was right the first couple. I kind of see Summoner and Ranger as a failed season. So, like, to me, I'm more willing to let them prove me wrong, that I'm hopeful that they're actually going to be able to keep to what they say. And obviously, there's always going to be all these issues, right? There's going to be things that pop up that you never expect. But I'm hoping that 10 years into this project, they are aware of what's important for them to convey. And they're aware of what they need to do. And they're also aware that this is it. This is it. Like, they can't, I don't think they could keep doing seasons for 3 years. People were like theory crafting about how long it would take to fill out the continent with what they had with doing seasons. That I don't think in the current market was sustainable. I think they needed to push forward. And if they can do this, and if they can get all those zones in, if they can get all those playable races in, the new armor and stuff like that by December, that's great. If they don't, it's a failure. But if they do, it's great.
So what you're saying, let me see if I can wrap my brain around this.
Sure.
What you're saying is, this is it. This is the moment that Seasons was the testing ground, but this is the final test that they have to pass, or this whole thing is going to come crashing down on their heads. If they don't get 6 races or 6 zones, 12 races in at December, then we're literally talking about a game that's probably not going to launch, in your opinion.
No, it's more like if they don't hit that, I don't think, like, because we're already talking about, like, what I was trying to point to is that people that have been following the project are already less likely to believe what's said and what's promised, right?
Yeah.
So if they already promised this, yeah, they already promised this, and if they don't hit this, then they're going to have to do a new world and find a new audience, I think, is basically the way that I'm seeing it. Not that, if they fail early access, if it's January instead of December, the project's done after 10 years. I think that's silly, because I think no matter what, this game will launch in some fashion, because people have put over 10 years into the game themselves. You don't put 10 years of your own personal life into a project and then just abandon it. Normally what happens is a company abandons it, right? So like a publisher says, screw it, we're not going to do that. That's why I think indie things are different. Now, whether anyone will play it is a totally different conversation.
Sure. That's a really solid point.
Yeah, it's like this is, in a lot of ways, this is a passion project. It's also a project that is a legacy project. It's a project where there is a ton of personal investment in it, not just from the people that are wanting the game, but the people that are making the game. So whether it comes out in a way that we want to play it, that's an open question. But whether they give up on it, I don't think they're giving up on it. Unless they get they all get crazy offers to go work for some other company somewhere, something, I guess.
Goes past. Nothing happens. We're hitting mid-January. And they come out with a plan that's like, okay, so that didn't happen. Or we got 4 zones now and 8 races.
6 races.
6 races. What does
that's already more races in. So.
No, it's true. So what will be your attitude about Pantheon at that point?
My personal attitude on it?
Yep.
Huh. So with this hypothetical that they swung for the fences with this and they missed, right?
Yes.
They swung for the fences and it landed in the outfield. I don't know, baseball bullshit.
Sport ball.
Sports ball.
More sport ball.
2 sports balls.
I think it would depend on how communication was leading up to it. Because if it's
strong suit, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, to give them credit where credit's due, Joppa's streams have been a great way of forming communication because he answers questions he probably shouldn't.
It's hilarious. It's really funny.
I straight up, like, just a slight sidebar there, but like for my early access video, I asked him a question about it, like, and I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something to do with, will the server stay up or something like that? And I was like, are you sure? Can I put this in a video? Because like it's, it's like, hey, like, I'm going to quote you on this shit. Like it's important. But so I think there's at least the VR and the Pantheon of 2024 and of before that are very different. No NDA, anyone can stream it. Everyone has access if they pay $50 and whatever it is going to be with EA. They have free weekends. People can go and play the game. They have 2 to 3 streams per week. So at the very least, we have some kind of contact. The actual full-on press communication, I feel like you don't announce this without the full details ready to go. But I mean, that's a later point that I think. But
yes, it is.
I mean, we can go right into it. We don't have to go in order.
Yeah. And I mean, and they did, like, it is like in it's talked about, like, they're basically trying to communicate that this is happening, kind of thing, so it's not a surprise. And some of the things that I've heard that are frustrations are, well, what if I just upgraded to VIP? Like, you've got 6 months of it. Like, I don't know why people would be upset. You have like more lead time of this than anything. I think people would be much, much more upset if we got to the end of the September 9th season and like, hey, we're going into early access in December. I think people would be furious, because then you have, like, right now you still have 2.5 seasons left of the current testing structure. So in that sense, that communication was good. Not having the details was not.
It's horrible.
Not having, how is early access going to work? How is this going to actually function? Yes, we got what's going to be in it, but not how is it going to be monetized? None of that stuff.
They should.
That's a communication issue.
They should have did it exactly how they did 247, which we didn't like 247, but at least they rolled it out to us, right? They had a stream, Joppa and everybody, and Ben and was Sav on the team at that? Yeah, Sav was there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah,
they had a stream and they rolled it out and they were like, "This is why we're doing it. This is what we want to accomplish, and here's the plan." That's what but this was a Discord post.
It was a Discord post, but also they obviously sent a media blast.
Right. They blasted it out.
So they would have sent that media blast before the Discord post. So that went to Massively OP, that went to MMORPG.com, MMOBomb. They all got that before the Discord message, would be my guess, just with how that communication works. So it wasn't like,
it was more like thought out than the Discord post.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same information. It's not really any more information. I would say the Discord post is more informal, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. It's
That's a great
informal.
way to put it. Yeah.
Here's the thing that
it wasn't written by Ben Dean.
No, it was not.
Ben Dean,
Right.
it would be formal, you know.
I think they needed to, at the minimum, they needed to include a date of when we're going to talk about it.
Yeah,
They don't know.
I think that's a
They
good
just
idea.
said on the last stream that they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's an issue. Like that's
Huge
a
issue.
legitimate issue that when making that comment, the media blast, there should have been a date for the QA. It could be that they had a date for the QA and then they saw the amount of questions they got and they're like, "Oh no. We need to push
We're
this."
going to need 4 QAs.
Right.
to do this.
Because like it's every time I look at the Discord, there's like 7 more EA, hashtag EA questions. But that's me perhaps giving them a little bit too much leeway with that. But I mean, I think that's one of the things that I 100% agree. They needed to have a date. Like, okay, so this is what the thing. We will give you more details. I don't care if it's more details in August, but give a date. And that kind of thing. And then you have Joppa streams for informal QA stuff, which happens every stream. And you have obviously the Discord and people, answering questions in the Discord when they can and how they can, but
I just think when you don't tell the community at large, and Joppa streams are great and the Discord is great, but that's not like, that's not an official communication with your people, right? And I think that you should, if you were going to announce this thing, then you should have had that in the books. Okay, we're announcing it on Friday. 2 weeks from today, we're going to discuss it on a Thursday. Yeah. And then that makes it look like you have a plan and that you've thought everything through. This currently how it's going. Dymlos and I called it, this is just the wild, wild west, where Chris Rowan was like, all right, we're going to EA. Let's do it, boys. And everybody else was like, what?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it makes me feel like, but there's no plan.
Well, I mean, he is the CEO. Like, I think because they didn't give a date, the QA needs to be sooner.
Yeah.
Because if there was a date, like you're saying, there's more structure, there's more, this is what's going to happen. So I think because they didn't do that, we need a QA sooner rather than later. And a QA, and then a media blast that goes after the QA, a media blast that goes to the major media, which I don't know how much of major media massively in MMORPG.com are, or MMOBomb, but they need to get a media blast. And whether they use it verbatim or not is up to them, but they need to get a media blast saying, these are the details, this is how it breaks down, this is, we're taking community feedback on this we're not, that kind of thing. Then that needs to happen soon, really soon.
So this is Saturday when this premieres, so hopefully this is a big fat non-issue by now, and they've either had the QA or they've announced a date for it.
Oh, I have doubts.
I have also had doubts.
I don't know. I mean, they did respond very quickly with 247, though.
Sure.
With a QA and everything like that. They responded, okay, not as fast as they should have probably, but they did respond fairly quickly. So it'll be interesting because I would like, if I were to categorize the reaction to this, it's mixed, right? It's not. I mean, okay, it's mixed in the Pantheon diehards, right? For people outside of Pantheon that aren't like following it the way that we follow it, they're actually excited. And that's just like the general consensus I've seen. They're either excited or they're the same people that think that the whole thing is a scam. So it's one of those two things, right?
My worry is of those excited people and them buying $30 to $50 worth of early access in December. And they get this game that they think is going to be done because they don't follow it like we do. And they think that this is what Draq and I are calling a soft launch because that's to us what early access means. And so they're going to spend their money and then they're going to poo-poo all over it. And then that's the end, right? Once that many people that don't follow the game put out enough stuff on the internet that says, this is absolute junk and it's not anywhere close to being done. You know, we're still 2 to 3 years from being done. That's the end of the game. No one else is going to buy in. We talked about this last week too. You get your one shot at this, and they are going to shoot it in December.
And this is where I get like, because I didn't think that that's one of the things that's been surprising to me is how many people are like, no, that means it's just it's just like your head start to the game. Because to me, head start is that what you're talking about is the head start. But to me, early access is the Steam term, which has very clear requirements. Because I don't think of early access in terms of anything but Steam. Because it's like they have co-opted it as a marketing term, and they are the largest platform for video games. So to me, the place that has the largest platform for video games gets to kind of dictate what it means, because that's what the vast majority of people will. MMOs are an interesting area because most MMORPGs are not on Steam. There are early access MMOs on Steam, but it's very small number, and they're smaller niche MMOs, right? So I think there's a higher probability, after like sitting with this for a week, of people misunderstanding. But I also think this is going to be how MMOs work going forward. Because if you think about it, right? You have this year alone, you would have had 3 MMOs launching in early access. You would have Pantheon, right? If they hit their December timeline. You have Core Punk, which is doing it in November. And you had PAX Day, which just did it. So you have 3 MMOs launching into specifically this kind of early access, where it's not access to the game early on. It's access to, okay, this is still a testing phase. It's early access in the Steam way. And that's what it means. You know, like that's kind of the thing. And like, I mean, it's going to really come down to which one of the things that was a little scary. It just, VR needs to come out and say exactly what it means, what it is, and explain it in the clearest terms possible. I'm reminded of, was it Sven Vinke from Larian? I believe I tried to find the quote somewhere some other time and I could never find it. But when he was asked about early access for Baldur's Gate 3, he straight up told people, don't buy it if you don't want to, because it is early access. Like, he explained that this is early access and it's going to be early access. And then it went on to be an early access for 3 years. But he was explicit in, this is only to be purchased if you are wanting to help test the game. And I think that VR has been pretty good about saying, if you are pledging, you're not just pledging to get access to the game, you're pledging to support development of the game. So as long as they can be clear and no bullshit, no marketing crap to try and get more people to sign up, and they're just very clear. I mean, hell, Palia is in early access and they're not listed as early access. They cannot do that. They have to be clear. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. But let me get this straight. So seasons was the most awful term that we could possibly pick for the development of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. We made jokes about it. We called them pumpkins and commas. Because
just no one knew what they were. One knew which one meant.
It was friggin' awful. So then we jumped from seasons into early access. Like, there's no winning here. Like,
but I would argue that that's better than what Seasons was. Seasons doesn't have the positive connotation. And early access in its own, like, there are people that despise early access, right? Why do they despise early access? Because it's development. Like, they don't despise it because it's a head start. And there are games that are using the term early access, World of Warcraft and Throne and Liberty specifically, using early access to explain their freaking 5-day head start in an MMO to give a competitive advantage that's essentially pay to win. But I think that's intentional by those people because they don't want to be associated with head start.
Here's the world that I live in, though, and I don't think I'm alone. And as you said, like, the MMO people and Steam don't necessarily mix. I'm not a Steam guy. Like I maybe own like maybe 20 things on Steam, and I don't think
That makes you a Steam guy.
no. If you don't own
That's a lot. That's way more than me.
If you yeah.
The Steam will assimilate you at one point. It happened to me. I was yeah.
But I've had Steam.
It's the Borg.
I've had Steam since the day came out, and I still only have 20 things. Right? I was like a day one Steam guy. But I don't think of early access that way because I only interact with MMOs. And as you said, when I think of early access, I'm thinking you're getting into the game. And you said, right, that if they don't pull any shenanigans, any marketing shenanigans, I've read every single one of the press releases that have went out to the big MMORPG sites. And to me, it doesn't read like testing because they didn't give enough details. They've already made it seem like early access is the launching of the game. To me, that's what it seems like. Before we've even started, because they didn't give any details with it when they sent it out. That's how the MMO sites are covering it as I read it.
That's why I think it's really important. And I mean, to be fair, at least to the MMO sites, they did that for all the other early accesses too. So for Core Punk, for PAX Day, they kind of read the same way, right? So I think that's
no, I don't think it's their fault. I don't think it's their fault.
Oh no, okay.
I think it's VR's fault.
And no. I think it's like I was saying. I think this is a change of how MMOs are going to be launching going forward. What I've seen with MMOs is you basically seem to have two camps happening right now with MMOs. You have underfunded MMOs, and you have pay to win or highly monetized MMOs. The highly monetized MMOs are following the same kind of, the way that they used to be launched, basically. Here's a beta test, whatever. Here's NDAs, you can't talk about it. And then here's this thing. Oh, we have this really terrible monetization policy. You get some pushback on it. We change it a little bit, but it's still bad. And then you have the underfunded MMOs that cannot get to that point because they don't have the funds to get there. And if they do, I guess they just sit in a weird limbo of a prolonged beta access, which doesn't sound good either. So Crowfall was in beta for years before it suddenly launched. Star Citizen is still in alpha. It's been in alpha for what, half a decade? Like, if not more? But because they're not changing the terminology of what it is. But it plays like an MMO. It plays like early access, essentially. And so I think you're going to start seeing more MMOs use the terminology of early access, because like I was saying, we already are. It's not just the 3 that launched that are either launched or will launch this year if they hit their targets. But Monsters and Memories, they're going in early access in 2026. They're like legitimately early access, and they're launching with 2 zones. Like that's their thing. They're launching, like, I think, with all full classes, all the races. And then 2 obviously big zones, but 2 zones, 2 biomes, not necessarily 2 zones. I don't want to misspeak. But I think this is going to be how MMOs are going to be made. And I think people just need to come to terms with new terminology the way we came to terms with new terminology for alpha, beta, and all that, because none of that shit means what it means anymore. It stopped meaning what it meant when Warhammer Online started selling access to beta. Those testing terms haven't meant what they were supposed to mean for a very long time, at least in my opinion.
So what you're saying?
So it's just we're old. You're just saying.
Yes,
you're saying we're old.
We're all old.
We're get off my lawn guy now.
Yeah. And we don't change.
Understand your early access terminology, and the only early access terminology is the one I know. Damn it! Now get off my lawn.
I don't watch the TikTokers or the Steams. I only know about beta and alpha testing. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, Draq. That means we got to change. We kind of talked a little bit about this last week. We didn't know we know what lit means, so now that's not the word anymore.
Do we have the Riz? We need the Riz.
For real.
We're on to the drip or whatever. I don't know. So as soon as we know what the words are, they've changed the word. And that's kind of what we're looking at here, is that when we finally get accustomed to saying something, they've moved on. We're on to something different and presenting it a different way. So we're just behind the times, Draq. I like where this is going.
All right.
So what I would say to anyone who's upset about Pantheon going in early access, when you apply that to Monsters and Memories, Core Punk, Fractured Online, which was in early access and then is moving to launch.
We don't say that.
I know I had to mention that one.
F-word Online.
And PAX Day. Do you feel the same way about those games? Maybe Monsters and Memories, because a lot of people in this, there's a lot of crossover in the communities.
Yeah.
Right. But do you feel the same way about those games you do about Pantheon? And then if not, then why? And I think there's a couple different reasons as to why. Some people could be pointing to missed targets. Other people could be pointing to personal investment, not money, but personal time investment in the different games. I have no investment about PAX Day, so I don't really think much about their EA, right? I think it was weird how they sold their packages, but I don't have an investment in it.
I think a lot of us see this as our future forever home, or want it to be our future forever home. So that's why we get so upset and are super passionate about it.
Yep.
It just is, I want nothing but the best, and that gets me really frustrated when it's just misstep after misstep.
I feel like there's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
A lot of fear.
For sure.
And I think that sometimes the fear is valid, and sometimes I think it's a little overblown. I was more fearful of them calling things seasons than I am of them calling things early access. And maybe it really is just because I'm so maybe it's because Baldur's Gate 3 changed so much of my perception about what early access means. Because I got to see this is how early access is supposed to be done. They sit there and you take player feedback because that is how early access is described by Steam, and you have to follow that. But then you have other games on Steam, like Kerbal Space Program 2, which show that early access can just be a straight up scam, right? Where you have a game that is still being sold in early access, and they don't even have a team working on it anymore. They're gone. There's just no one there. Wow. And that sucks because there's Steam needs to, if they're going to have this program, they need to have mechanisms in place to provide refunds. And I think that's the thing. If Pantheon goes out to third parties, there's refund mechanisms that need to be in place. It's a bit different.
I would have just told you that I think all those games are scams, except for you put Monsters and Memories in there. So that's a really, really good argument. And also Baldur's Gate 3. So, okay.
Enshrouded?
No,
Kinda.
Not really. Enshrouded does not do it for me.
Oh, I'm just saying Enshrouded is currently in early access. So is Pal World.
Right, but I don't know that Enshrouded is going to go the distance. I mean, I'm not sure that it's being developed, but I don't know. I just don't trust it.
I mean, it is Keen Games who made Sacred 3, so, but I liked Enshrouded.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm just if that was my game, I would be worried. So let's talk about the fear a little bit. And I just want to lay this out, and then you can comment on it.
And real quick, because that doesn't mean that I don't have fear too.
Sure.
I do.
No, absolutely.
I have plenty of fear. I just try to lean towards positive in all these things. And then when I'm proven wrong, say Legends of Aria, that's when I come back at it.
You were the perfect guest for this episode.
That's why we had you on, honestly. So
we needed you.
We needed you. We need the light. We're in the darkness.
We've been in the light for so long. The people out there with the making fun of Pantheon positive, or all that stuff that we've as a community have been touting for so long. It's taken its toll on us.
Yeah.
Draq's been in the game for 6 years, 7 years. I'm in for 3. It just, after watching the same thing over and over again, it's just hard to get real positive about that stuff all the time. And I want to cheer for VR. I want to be a part of December's EA and get really excited about it. But I've just been let down a lot. And it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're here.
I think I benefit from, I wasn't part of the game until middle of last year, something like that. So
that helps.
You have definitely avoided some arrows. So I want to dive into the fear a little bit. So if we just look at what VR does and not listen to anything they say. 9 months ago, 247, this giant thing that was going to fund Pantheon, be a separate game, and then
potentially fund
Pantheon while they made Pantheon, and then we moved away from that. Then the beginning of the year, 6 months ago.
Wait! You can't just say then we moved away from that. There's a reason why
it crashed and burned. Okay, it was a horrible idea to begin with.
Yeah, because the community revolted against it with such fervor that I have never seen before. I made a video that was like I was like all sad and like upset. No, we killed that.
We killed ourselves. We killed it dead
with our combined power, like Captain.
People were
pissed
at 247.
So then we hit
Go Planet.
So then we hit seasons. January, February, right? Six-ish months ago. That's our new funding model, right? Then 2 weeks ago, they send out a housing email to everybody, and they're like, "Hey, can we use housing to help fund the next steps of Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen?" And then last week, early access. Hey, everybody, we're going to do early access in December. It's going to be the way that we're going to fund Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen,
and not use the co-stream to announce that.
And I use you gotta let that go. But
no way.
To me, if you just look at that list of events, and maybe that's just short-sighted and I'm not looking at anything else, but if you just stack those one next to each other, it makes it seem like they're running out of money. That's where the fear comes in for me.
So let me add to that. Before, they had an evaluation build that they were shopping to find, is there a publisher that makes sense for us? Before that, they had a Kickstarter. Kickstarter failed and didn't work. There has never been a time in the entire time that this game has been under development that they have had a good idea, like that, not necessarily a good idea, but a solid ground for funding. I don't think it's not like point. It's not new. Like, this is a game that has struggled with funding since it was first thought of. People didn't buy in to Brad McQuaid's idea enough to fund a Kickstarter.
Right, and that Kickstarter was like $400,000.
It was which would have been like what, a month? Like, that's nothing.
It was nothing.
So, and then that's on the heels of even the funny thing is, like, those Kickstarters, they're just proof of concept. And they're sold the wrong way. And I think that people have finally figured that out, that the idea of a Kickstarter for an MMO is silly. I mean, there are still MMOs trying to do it, but the idea of a Kickstarter MMO doesn't make sense because there's no way you can fund an MMO through that.
Right.
Astro Creation made like $2 million. That's nothing to fund it. The one that made like a lot of money was Star Citizen, but most of their money, most of their funding is post that, and they did it by selling a bunch of stuff. They sell spaceships, they sell those things. I mean, there is even Astro Creation does that, but they also have private funding. They have a lot more investment in it because perhaps it has a larger. I mean, the Kickstarter was successful, right? So there's a, hey, look at this. There's people that want this game, and so I think that's one of the things why, like, when people say, oh, they're running out of money and stuff like that, I'm like, they've never had it. Like, I don't know.
That's totally a great point.
Like, I don't know why people think, like, and that's why, like, I get like upset with the whole idea. This is a scam. Like, how much money do you think they have? They could be making so much more money just making some bullshit mobile game. Like, there's nothing here that has ever made me think Pantheon has money. And there was that one quote that gets repeated all the time, which I wish was never said, about, oh, we're funded to launch. Because how would they know? There's no way to know. They have ideas. They know they can. Okay, well, we think that if we continue development at this pace, blah 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 blah, and they have access to all that numbers that we don't have access to. But I've never thought of Pantheon as having enough money, and I've always thought of it as like they're struggling to get by. So I don't see oh, they're struggling now, but they weren't struggling before. They've always been struggling. At least that's how I viewed the entire project since they failed Kickstarter.
Draq, you're fired. Redbeard, you're hired.
Whoa!
You and I are running the. This is such a great point, though. Redbeard, I'm so glad. I feel better. You just by explaining that one question, I feel better. I truly the endorphins are kicking for me right now. I'm feeling Pantheon positive again. Thank you.
By saying they've always been in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, you put it in such great perspective, and you know, your words are good. Certainly better than mine. So yeah, no, every point you have made here is solid. I definitely am going to steal that they've never been funded before. How could they? Mm-hmm. I'm taking that from you. So sorry.
Sure.
I'll try to quote you on it every time I say it, but you know, no promises.
Yeah.
I want to look smart too.
I've been on record saying in like what I feel is that if Pantheon was being developed by or like published by a bigger publisher, this game would have been canceled about 5 years ago, roughly.
No doubt.
Something like that. This game, it's not that this game is on borrowed time. It's on what I would consider more like passion project time. And that's why I think of it this way. And it's also why I tell people, like, only if you're interested in the game, only pledge because you want to support the project, not because you're expecting like, oh, in 2 years it's going to launch. Like it's an expectation that you're trying to support this versus the kind of crap that we're getting. And that's really what it comes down to. But this is not the model you would go with if you want to make money in this space. If Pantheon wanted to make money, there's very easy ways for them to have done it over the last 10 years. They could have sold all kinds of shit, all kinds of microtransactions, and they could have done that from the start. But that wasn't what Brad McQuaid wanted to do, right? That wasn't what this team wanted to do. So it's always been a project that's struggled with funding for, in part because of those reasons, because they're wanting to make a game that's not that. A game that is more reminiscent of, you know, the kind of things that the people making the game not only played when they were younger, but also worked on when they were younger. Full on, I don't know if that's even possible anymore. I want it to be. I just don't know that it is. You know, EverQuest sells, you know, perks. You know, like I don't know that that's a possibility anymore, but I'm willing to try and support that. And sometimes I've been burned. I've been burned with Legends of Aria. I've been burned with Crowfall. You know, but I'm going to keep getting burned when I have the money to spend because I would prefer to support that than go buy a Sparkle Pony.
Yeah, I'm out on the Sparkle Ponies too.
Sparkle Ponies. Draq, how are you feeling about this now that we've kind of broken down some of these harder hitting questions? How do you feel?
All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap this all up in a nice bow here. So
please.
This is what this is eminence. This is what I've taken from this conversation. Early access is greater than seasons. May not be the best, but it's better than seasons, less confusing than seasons, less negative connotations than seasons. I can buy that. Number 2, this December goal is huge. For me, I just want for VR to hit a goal that they said they're going to hit and be able to say, like, look, they said they were going to do this thing and they did this thing. Like, I've wanted that for so long and it just has not happened. But RedBeardFlynn is saying that this is the one, that we should put our foot down on. This is the one that we should say, this is the thing. This is the thing that they're going to hit, and they're going to hit it. So I can hope for that. I can do the December goal. Early access is not what I think it is because of Steam and because of other things. I can live with that. And you know what? You have reminded me that they've always been desperate for money. And that whole thing where they said they were funded till the end of launch, that was just a big, dumb thing that somebody said that they never should have said.
It's so funny that they've been doing that shit for 10 years. They just keep saying dumb shit that they shouldn't say. Because it's all off the hip, right? Like that's
just off the hip.
I think in part
well put in perspective.
Yeah, that's like part of what like this kind of a team, right? Like there is obviously a ton of experience on this team. There's been more experience, there's been less experience as the team has gone up and down, right? But there's also, I'm assuming, this is what it's more like when you have a developer and the people, right? Versus a developer, a publisher, and the people.
Yeah.
Like there's more just like it's more like this is what we want to do. Okay, let's tell them versus this is what we want to do, and then someone saying no, you can't tell them that, and here's why. Like it's like there isn't that buffer that's not really as focused on the game and is more focused on all the PR around it. Because I mean I've seen that with some indie RPGs and stuff too that I follow. Where it's obvious like maybe they should not be showing this stuff just yet. Maybe like they should hold off, like and just wait, but they're excited, and that's why I like indie games, not just Pantheon. That's why I like Monsters and Memories. That's why I like games like Mortal Crux and games like Varen's Call. Like I'm excited about like, and those are MOs and RPGs. I'm excited because they're indie games because I want that lack of buffer. I don't want a publisher that's like, hey, you know what? We gotta fire like 7 people because our investors need to see good numbers. And that's why. Even if that means better communication. Although you could say that Embracer doesn't do great communication either.
So Draq, are you feeling better from where we were last week?
I am. I'm feeling a little more positive. I'm feeling like we're a little premature on the doom and gloom. Let's launch ourselves back into Pantheon. I mean, we're going to do that anyway, but like we could be a little bit more excited about it. We can get our hopes back up a little bit more, and then we'll check back in December and see where we're at in December, and that will be like the true test of what is actually going on.
I think there's always still like the next shoe to drop, right? And I think that's something that a lot of the Pantheon community feels is like, okay, we got this, but what's the shoe to drop? And so I think a lot of the concern is like at least for me, on my perspective, the shoe I'm worried about is how are they going to monetize this? And I just want it to be fair. That's all I care about is just make it cheap. I have been a proponent of getting more people in the game anyway, because I think that'd be good, especially if once they had enough content. And if they can hit that, that's what we need. If they can get Pulse in, which is currently supposedly maybe coming with the next one. I don't know. We'll see.
Have you looked at the list of things that are supposed to go in on this August 17th patch? That just blows my mind because every time Joppa streams, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're totally gonna have that in on the next patch," and I'm like, "You already said like 15 other things the last stream you did. Like, don't say anything more. What are you doing?"
I do believe though, like that certain things are not like I don't think Ogres of the Armor are going to be, which I was going to do before this announcement. I was going to do a freaking report card, and that was their failing grade was not having those in.
Oh,
I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important.
All right, we've got to move on. We're not going to get rid for the rest of this thing. MMORPG.com is giving away a free week of Pantheon. It's a promotion. The link will be in the description. Click on the link and go get yourself a free week of Pantheon if you're not playing it already. I think this is a fantastic idea. All that other negativity aside, or all my other thoughts aside, I think this is fantastic. These are the people that you want playing your game. Giving them a free week in the game is going to get you pledges. I think it's just a great move and a great promotion by them, and it's a great timing. I think there's all wins here.
Definitely. Get it out there, get it out to the people. Let them see what we got.
Agreed. There's also keys at MMOBomb.com and Massively OP as well. Those are the other ones I've seen.
Oh, nice. I'll go dig those up.
Yep.
They will all be in the description, people. Go get yourself a free week.
It's free. Like, just if you
the game is fun.
Try it.
If you like MMOs, the game is fun. It's hard, but it's fun.
Right. And I don't want that to get lost in the details of all the worries and stuff. The one thing about Pantheon above every other MMO that we play is Pantheon is so much fun. I keep saying that over and over and over again, but I'll say it again. Pantheon is a super fun game to play.
Yeah, like it's one of the things, like when I play an MMO and I don't like it, I don't keep covering it.
Right.
I keep covering Pantheon because I enjoy it. And like so a lot of the comments are like, "Oh, you're a paid shill." Like we just went over like how they don't have any money. So I don't think you have to worry about anyone being a paid shill.
They're not paying us. I don't know what the heck you think. What?
They could, though.
I mean, anytime.
If they do, you have to disclose it. Okay.
It's just totally happy to do that.
All right, now it's time for Joppa Says, where if Joppa says it, it's gold.
That was really uncomfortable.
All right. So Joppa only got a couple of streams in last week because the co-stream was Monday. So we didn't get tons of stuff, but there was some important stuff because he also talked about the early access stuff and some of the details. So this is what we got. Joppa talked a lot about mentoring last week, possibly an XP like penalty. So if you're the mentorer to the mentee, then you get an XP penalty, because in a lot of games the mentorer is overpowered and you're really just power leveling. You're not really mentoring, you're power leveling, and he wants to really avoid that. So he's saying possibly an XP penalty for the mentorer, or possibly no experience for a mentorer. But he definitely doesn't want it to be abused, and he said absolutely no offline leveling for those of you that played Vanguard and used the Brotherhood system. What do you guys think about that? Mentoring.
So this is kind of my fault.
How dare you?
I went into Joppa's stream and I left this comment. I was like, hey, so this is something I've been worrying about, because will there be a mentor system or not? Because it's a big issue in MMORPGs, especially as they get older, where you can't play with your friends. Believe it or not, most current MMORPGs have something. EverQuest 2 was the first one I thought of, but Final Fantasy 14 has a level sync system. Guild Wars 2 has the same system or a similar system. I believe even Final Fantasy 11 apparently had a system, someone was saying. And then obviously there's ESO with their one Tamriel approach. So there's lots of different approaches with how this goes. And even EverQuest has a fellowship system that no one uses, right?
It's not very good.
It's terrible. When people started bringing up the Vanguard system, I hadn't remembered that from Vanguard, but it sounded awful. Because I think like one of the things when I was trying to get across with this, when I brought it up in chat, it's not about experience. It's not about that. It's about, okay, I have this friend and they have 2 hours a week to play. I have 10 hours a week to play. I want to play with that friend. And the number one answer that seemed to get from people that were against the mentor system was, well, just make an alt. But that's not the point. Like, you're trying to play the same game with your friend, and it's trying to find a way how to do that. And then other things people mentioned was like, oh, you can just have a really, like, basically have the level limit super huge, right? Like 10, 15 levels or something like that. But that's still not, that's not getting to experience the game. And it was like, oh, like everyone's looking at this in terms of, wait, how do I game this system? How do I make sure that this is just power leveling with extra steps? Not thinking of the, wait, no, but I just want to play with my friend.
No one actually wants to have fun, RedBeard. They just want to screw the system.
Like, if you think about it, like at the beginning of this podcast, we're like, okay, hey, we can group with you. We'll mentor down. We'll play with you. I'm level 10. Y'all are much higher level than me. And EverQuest 2 is a bad example. Damn.
Whoa!
But the point being that, like, it's so that you can play games with each other. It's not so that you can power level your alt. It's so you can play with each other.
I like the EQ has the diminishing returns. Like if it's a full group of people, you're only getting maximum 15 extra %. So it's not like it's so much. It's still not terrible for the person that is doing the mentoring. It's still not bad.
Depending on like how far it is.
I would expect 0. For me to get no XP, I would expect that. I don't think there should be a penalty though. I think if it's already, we're taking the penalty is our time, right? So we're taking our time to level our friends up. So don't penalize anything like that. But
no, the penalty is you're gonna get XP when you mentor.
Yeah,
but there's a penalty to that XP.
Yeah. So like, you know how in EverQuest 2, it starts like if you mentor one level, it's like what, 10% or 20%. But if you mentor like 40 levels, it's like negative 95% experience.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because the idea that that's not wanting to be abused, because then that trivializes content. And this is a legitimate thing for people to worry about, because then the idea is, oh, I'm level 50 or I'm level 49 and I really want to get to 50, but everything at level 49 is too hard for me. So I'll mentor down to level 20 and I'll just kill a bunch of easy things. So that's why I like the diminishing returns on it, because the whole idea is it's not supposed to be a alternate path. So that's why it often needs to be kind of punishing for the mentor who's going down level, because you don't want that to become an alternative path of leveling. You want it to be an alternative path of playing with people. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not supposed to be an attractive thing for the mentor, except the social experience.
I'm totally fine with no experience for the mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
You get to have fun with your friend.
You get to have fun.
Exactly.
You don't need to advance. You don't want to advance because you're trying to catch him up.
Right.
If you keep advancing, then that's the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's just the reason why I even brought it up in the stream is because of actually funny life, because of early access. Because not that it's going to become really a big issue until you have like the full, like probably even beyond level 50. But one of like when you have more people coming into the game, this becomes an issue, and it's an issue in EverQuest. It's an issue in EverQuest because they have a very strict level gap, right? What is it? When you're low level, it's like 6 levels or 5 levels or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like 2/3 or something like that.
It eventually like it grows, right? Like it grows to be pretty like decent, but and then the answer is always like, oh, just make an alt or power level them. I'm like, no, no, you want to play with them, play with your friends. It's a social game. people like, and the idea that most of the people that are gonna be interested in this game are probably adults anyway, with jobs and time commitments and families. Like, if you're already going to make the game more difficult, the journey longer, and things like that, it makes sense to have a quality of life thing that allows you to play with your friends in a time where people have grown up being able to play with their friends on demand. The idea of being able to log into a game and, oh no, sorry, I can't play with you because you're not high enough level, I don't think that works anymore. It worked in, when MMOs were brand new, but even Ultima Online didn't do that, 1997, Ultima Online didn't stop you from doing stuff with your friends. You could. So I think it's just one of those things where I brought it up because I was concerned about it because of the game being so social.
Well, if that one was your fault, well, this next one is my fault. As soon as we got done recording, Joppa did a stream like the next day or the day after that, and I brought up that this is going to look like a soft launch to people, and I did this for Draq. This was one of his big points, and I just felt like it needed to be said that there's going to be a lot of people that look at this like a soft launch, and so he was able to. He did say that we just need to be good about stating that this is where it's at. It's supporting the game. It's not the game. It's not a soft launch. So it made me glad to hear you say it, because that's kind of what Joppa said too, is how he wants to go about that.
And it's really important.
And that there's not going to be a sub during EA. That's also important.
Yep.
And
I think that's what I questioned, was like, like, are you sure? Are you sure that's right? Because I'm putting it in the video. Yeah.
Also, Joppa said that the cadence of EA will be very similar to Seasons, kind of that 6 to 8 week cadence.
I think, and didn't they also say like when stuff is ready, it's gonna go though?
They're not they're gonna kind of shoot for different zones and stuff, but like all the other stuff, like the classes and the races and the like guilds and whatever else, the armor, all that other stuff, they're just gonna, when it's ready, they're gonna stick it in, which I think is great.
Which, I mean, they kind of did that a little bit with Seasons, right? Like you had the lighting update. I mean, they changed summoner spells like in the middle,
right?
And then
after we broke it,
the costs.
Yes, after we broke it, they did.
Yeah, and they made my wizards. What is that? Because you're a wizard, Draq. The light spell,
They nerfed the light, the mage light.
Yeah.
So awful.
Yeah.
They said that playtime for VIPs, supporters, and champs will not stop up until early access starts. It's going to be 24/7. I thought that was pretty amazing. I thought after the Necro season we were coming to a stop, but apparently we're trudging. We're going all the way through.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll just leave it running, right? Like that's not too terribly difficult.
Well, but the main thing is that means like supporter, champion, VIP will all be able to play.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, chances are there's probably going to, like, we don't know the details, right? But chances are there's probably going to be a wipe after that. So you might be playing for no reason. But still, it's kind of like almost like an early access.
What did we call it last night? Pre-release access.
Yeah.
Premature access.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm also expecting them to go down for like at least a week or two before.
Oh yeah, like they'll be down for whatever, a week or so.
Yeah,
they got to get the new thing set up for everybody. It can't be this manual bullshit that they keep doing.
Yeah, which I think they're almost set up or will be set up.
Yeah, it's sure it's going to be.
They don't got that there.
It's going to be in the August 17th patch. I mean, everything else is. So.
Right. Except for ogres and armor.
100%.
That's not on the list anymore.
Joppa said the evil races are going to have their own starting spot, not in Thronefest, because they're going to start adding faction stuff in. So that's exciting.
I made a joke because he said that like the they're not gonna, the evil races are not gonna have like a city, right? You're gonna have basically 2 starting cities for good races, and or 2 starting areas anyway, and then you'll have these little alcoves for the evil races. And then he was at the same time, he was on that stream today, which I guess is last week. I don't know. This is confusing, the timing. But on Tuesday, he was making a beach, this little beach in Silent Plains. Like, oh, so is that's where the Darkmoor start? It's just a little tiny alcove, 2 feet by 3 feet.
So they're gonna pack an entire city's worth of stuff into 2 to 3 feet. That probably will be what people want, actually.
What I'm expecting is something like a Velia or something like that somewhere, or because they want to get factions in, right? That was why he was talking about that, because they want to basically mean like you can't all just go to the same place. So it'll be interesting to see how they do that, or if they back off on that, just because that would be, I mean, if you think about it, maybe that's creating something that they don't need in the final game, and that's probably not something they should do, but who knows? It is interesting that we have 2 good cities, though.
Yeah.
Or not the actual city. You know what I mean? 2 good zones.
2 good zones. Yep. Joppa mentioned the races, the 6 races, because there was a lot of questions about what the races were going to be. You got your humans, you got your elves, you got your halflings, you got your ogres, you got your Darkmere, and your dwarves. Sorry, gnomes, Arkai, and Scar, you're out.
Hopefully in soon. But I'm still real skeptical about 6 races being in by December.
If it was, so like when I look at the list, right, I see human, elf, Darkmer. I'm like, those are basically the same. And then I see halfling and dwarf. I'm like, those are basically the same. The ogre is done. It's armor fitting, right? So, and like a couple animations. So, and like, and the human is basically done. So you've already basically got 2 of those races for the most part done. And then you just need to finish elf, which is just like probably just building off of the human model. And then you have the halfling and dwarf. And then probably the halfling and dwarf could be used to maybe work towards the gnome, which is kind of backwards of what they wanted to do. But these were probably the easiest races for them to get in. I mean, obviously, like Scar was the hard one, right? So, yeah. Scar and gnome, I think they were worried about how difficult it would be to make it look good.
I just hope it doesn't end up being like, here's this last minute thrown together Darkmer, and then I look like angry human woman, like she is now in my entire early access.
I know, I don't know if they'll be able to get it in for early access, but I really think it's important to have some kind of character customization. You know, like
good luck.
Don't take my top 5 list. Don't take it.
Oh.
I was gonna say, like, basically, like, yeah, like that's why I see the list as being more understandable, just because so many of them are probably very similar in body shape.
Sure.
And like they're probably just going to use a lot of, and they already, I think they're going to, some of the animations will be the same. The ogre has its own anime. Every race is going to have its own animations, but I think like the ogre was a challenge. I think the gnome is going to be a challenge. Scar is a challenge. So like the races that aren't included are the challenges. So I wouldn't. My negative side here is like, okay, we get these. That's what we got for a while. Is like my negative side.
That's fine.
Yeah,
getting Dark Marin is super important to me, so I'm glad they're doing it.
Same. Something like one of the next things in the notes that we'll get.
Sorry, Draq. I know you want your Arkai.
Whatever. Fish sticks.
At least you were in the game at one point.
I was in the game for a brief period of time.
Hey, the first thing I played was an ogre.
Yeah. I played an ogre wizard. I don't know if you knew that. That was possible back in the day. Everyone killed you and you couldn't buy spells, but I had it.
That was actually that was my first experience in Pantheon. I was an ogre dire lord. I ran through the city. I died to a guard. The guard yelled at me, and Joppa rezzed me.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was an oopsie.
Yeah.
Joppa mentioned that the level cap for EA is going to be 40. I think that's good. That's high. That was higher than I thought it was going to be.
Makes me think
content to support it, then we're good.
Yeah, it makes me think that Eastern Silent Plains will probably be higher level.
High level stuff there. Yeah.
Because you've already got technically up to right around level 30 almost, but not quite. Level 25 plus
up
for
there,
Hangor.
but it's not much.
It gets pretty bleak after like 26, 27. It gets pretty bleak.
Highest level I've gotten to is like level 15. So and that's with faster experience.
Joppa mentioned that the Silent Plains are going to have jumping puzzles. Are you excited about jumping puzzles?
Ooh, platforming.
I'm excited to fall off of them.
Yeah, we're definitely going to fall off a lot of them. Hopefully we got that glide in so that we can make it down safely.
So this is like, I don't know if y'all know this or not. You probably do, but from falling, there's 2 of my voice lines are in the game, right? And
really?
Yeah, they're part of the random assortment of screams. And when I was streaming Pantheon the last time, someone said that my scream sounds like a scuffed Wilhelm scream, and I was like, "Fuck."
That's cool. I want to get in the game too.
Shouted out. I said, "All I want is your voice for the bard."
Phil needs to reach out.
Yep.
All right, we got druids. Druids are waiting. They're in the wait zone. They're in the friend zone, the wait zone, every zone, but the playable zone.
It's not like anyone wants a druid, right? Like that's fine.
Just have our guild as druids.
You got ranger. That's enough.
Shut up, nature people. We don't like you anyway.
There's more important classes that need to come in.
It's true.
Wow.
Also, Bard is apparently super intense, and it's going to require lots of new quote things that Joppa wouldn't even get into. But apparently, it's going to be super intense. So, Bard and Druid, you are on the super wait list and are going to be a while. Joppa talked a little bit about the Necromancer. Maybe you can help me with this, Redbeard. Mm-hmm. How is the Necromancer a selfish support class?
Sure.
How does supporting someone, how's that it's selfish?
So I think the support for me, what it sounds like is more like CC, right? And it makes me think of why am I blanking on the name now? Screaming Terror from EverQuest 1, where the Necromancer was able to temporarily mez things, and EverQuest eventually went away from that, and they eventually came back to it, and they made it into an undead only mez, right? And so I think that's what I am picturing. I don't know how much it will lean into it, but one of the things, I don't know how many people caught this, but one of the things I believe Joppa said, and so this is just my recollection, is I believe he said that through some support things, or like, I mean, I would think it was through CC, there may be some resources that the Necromancer gains. So maybe that's part of it, right? Like by being a support class, you can have do like more things that you want to do. And it's honestly kind of funny, like Necromancers in EverQuest 1, unfortunately, were a support class until, what was it, like Omens of War? or something like that. Like you, once you got the mana feed, that's all you did. It's boring. It was all you did, you know, and so
you were so good at it.
Yeah. Look, I've told the story before, and just real quick, of how I got yelled at on a raid in Vexthal because I wasn't casting it enough because I was dotting things. And so to get back at our raid leader, my friend and I formed a super necromancer, which is essentially I did all the mana feeding that I had been asked to do. I just only did it to the necromancer so that he could dot everything. And then we got yelled at again, and I said, I did what you wanted me to do. I don't know what you want me to what you're asking for anymore.
Wow.
And he quit the guild like a couple months later.
You made someone quit a guild?
The raid leader.
Wow.
It wasn't just me. It was not just me.
Uh-huh.
Gosh darn,
The truth comes out.
Freaking rebellion in the middle of my raid.
Redbeard after hours, after dark.
Last but not least, Joppa said that the necromancer is going to lean into the dark arts as opposed to more like a blood gore theme. He was very specific about that. So,
dude,
I can't ever remember hearing him say that before, and so I thought it was.
I can. Well, not that. But so this was like I was like freaking out when he started saying this, right? Because I did that stream with Joppa, right? And he was asking me about the necromancer. And he was asking, like, you know, what kind of things do you think of when you think of a necromancer? But it's basically what he just explained. And I think I said the color palette of blue versus like red or green. Basically the EverQuest necromancer. The more of the dark arts, the more of like the ghostly, the skeletal, instead of the Diablo type necromancer, which has the ability to go into like the corpse explosion and like decay, like, you know, like just like gross, like gory stuff. And so I was like, when you said, he's like, yes, that is the awesome necromancer.
I'm glad you're happy. It makes me happy that you're happy.
Where do you think necromancer should rank on the DPS chart? What number?
So this is where like I'm like, there's a slight worry for me because I've been wanting to play the necromancer for so long, like the Pantheon version of it is going to be one that I don't want to play. So I'm wondering, like, because of that CC, how much CC is it, or how much DPS, right? I don't know with that, but I mean, if it's depending on how much it leans into CC versus like flexes into CC, you know, it's not going to be a top DPS class if it has that role. I don't think anyway, but I don't know. We'll just have to see, because it is firmly in the support role, right? So I think that there's a lot of us are thinking of necromancers in terms of ones that we played in other games before, and it doesn't sound like it'll be quite like that. So I'm preparing for it to be an enchanter, basically.
Yep, a dark enchanter.
Yeah, a dark enchanter, which could be cool.
Definitely, enchanters are awesome.
I was always too scared to play enchanters because it was too much responsibility.
Oh, I have that conversation all the time. I refused to charm because I didn't want to be stuck at my computer 24/7. I like mezzing. I was really good at making sure that the control was fine. I just didn't want to be the DPS as well. So yeah, the enchanter is where it is now. As long as they don't fuck up charm, it's a good class.
Yeah.
The Pantheon community is full of cool projects, new people, and things that are just worth sharing. What's this over here? Look at that. So let's see what we can find in this week's Community Spotlight.
If you want even more early access coverage, like I've listened to Draq Dymlos and RedBeardFlynn for like the last hour about early access, but I need more information. I need more details. I have got the perfect video for you, because RedBeardFlynn, one of our hosts today, has an entire video on early access covering all the details. It's only a couple of days old. You need to go over there and watch it. Plus, you need to subscribe to his channel because he has graciously come on our program, and he is an amazing video maker, streamer, all the things. He has got it going on. You need to go over there and support him and subscribe to his channel. Leave his video a like, leave a comment, do all the things, help the man out, give him some engagement. That is my plug for RedBeardFlynn. Also, we have Ben and I. Ben and I has been killing it lately. This is the second video in 2 weeks. He wants to talk about the level gap problem. He wants to talk about mentoring. He wants to talk about all those things. So again, if you didn't get enough from us, go check out Ben and I's videos. Ben and I's videos are always really clever, and he's just super insightful. So I also recommend him. Give him some support. Go leave a like. Go leave a comment. I can't express to you how important it is to leave comments and likes on people's videos. It lets YouTube know that these videos are important, and then in the future, YouTube will then recommend new videos that come out for other people. So take a second, go do that. In a different tab, leave the rewind up right now, of course. All right, this week's top 5. So this week, we've been talking a lot of early access. We've been talking a lot of Pantheon. So we're going to continue with the 3. Obviously, I was right about everything last week with the serials, so I'm going to continue to be right this week. But this week is the top 5 must-have things for you in early access. We're going to go 5 to 1. We're going to alternate one after the other. You guys ready for this?
So I want you to know that, like you asked the community to do, to put in the comments that yours is right. Still to this day, as of recording, no one has put that Draq was right, because that is the truth. And I will say that someone did put that Cookie Crisp was a great one. So I feel like I am, even if someone did say that for you, Draq, I am still up on the list because someone also liked Cookie Crisp like me.
Dymlos 1, Draq 0. It's fine. I'm going to be even more right this week.
Here we go.
Number 5, must-haves in early access. I need 1 through 40 spells for all classes that are going to be in the game. So minus Necro and Druid, I need the spells to be in, and I need them to be solid. You put Warrior in the game, you only gave them stuff for up to level 10. That can't happen for early access. Everything from 1 to 40 has got to be in, and it doesn't have to be like totally even or like balanced, but it's got to be working. 1 to 40 for all classes.
Yeah, for me, it has to be, I have to bring up the death penalty. It is such a taxing death penalty. I know that they haven't looked at it in forever. It is something that has just been put on the extreme back burner. But if we're going to launch with a death penalty in the game, there needs to be a heavy adjustment to it, because it is real nasty and will turn people off very quickly.
Guild creation and chat. I think it's important in a social game to have the ability to create a guild so that you can keep track of each other, create that sense of community early on. I think it's a really, really important thing to have, even just the most basic ass thing where you've got, okay, your guild name and a chat to talk to your guildies. I think it's a really important key thing.
Super important.
I think a lot of people really want that.
Absolutely.
It is at least on the list.
Number 4, I think if they're going to do this group combat thing with what I'm calling the heroic action wheel type system, where we put mobs into states and then we manipulate those states, and then that allows us to do group mobs, I think that has to be in the game, and it's got to feel flushed out, and it's got to feel solid. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be in the game, and it needs to feel good. I think that's very important if we want to move forward with that.
Honestly, Draq, it needs to be in the game right meow. Like, the fact that we're still making major tweaks to it is just, I don't like the feeling of it. If we're going to test the game, we need to know what the combat system is so we can break it, so that there's not anything when release happens.
Hey, listen, I don't have any sympathy for you. I started out as the wizard with no crits. That's where my wizard class started, okay?
That's where it belongs forever.
So this is like the 3rd or 4th iteration of the wizard that we're on right now. So my class has gone through like so many overalls, so I don't have any sympathy for you.
At least you had your class. I'm still waiting on Necromancer. I mean, I'm
It's
getting
coming.
it, but
Calm down. Number 4 for me is gliding. I want to glide like Breath of the Wild. I want to get my glider. I want to have a great glider and build better gliders like Enshrouded and glide around all of the entire 6 zones that we're getting. That's such an important thing, to be able to glide and see the landscape from the top, because exploring from the bottom is great, but it's so much better done when you can just see over everything. Ooh, I want to explore there. I want to explore there, and get a better map in your head from above, rather than, what's up this ledge that's going to eat me?
I really like gliding and Enshrouded. I think it especially when you first get it and it's got a steep incline, so it doesn't circumvent the world as much. Yeah. Number 4 for me is this is more of a social anxiety thing, I think, but group loot, some kind of tool, because I will not loot. Yeah, I won't loot because I feel like I don't want to like step on anyone's toes, so I won't loot from other people. And I know, like, anyone who played EverQuest or Ultima Online or whatever, like older MMOs, they didn't have it for a long time, but I can't go back. I need either they get, like, the advanced loot system that EQ has now, or the need before greed thing that they have in World of Warcraft. I need something like that, so that I'm not having to, because I will, like, at least just for trash loot, because I know people will talk about like bigger items, but for trash loot, it's just it helps a lot, and like splitting out coin, everything.
I don't need a pop-up window every time a giant meat comes up. Just let me roll and put it in the bag already.
Yeah, plus all those dumb melee classes, those melee DPS classes, get all the loot. Gulu Gulo, like, he's got full bags of loot, and I'm sitting over here with 3 things because I'm in the back with my wizard, and I don't get nothing. Put the loot.
You just want to group with me because I'll never loot.
I would totally group with you now. Now that I know that you're my new group buddy. Number 3, we have to have some more variety of look. Like, one robe that looks different is not enough. One set of armor that looks different is not enough. We got to put in some new stuff into the game. I know it's coming, but it's got to make it in for early access. No one wants to roam around and look the same. Every single person wearing the same clothing. It's boring and old, and makes me think of another game that it makes me think of Brown Game 2.0. So I don't want that.
I like my brown robe for all 40 levels. For me, number 3, I really want to see a complete and functioning crafting system. It needs to make items that are either better or worse. We need to make a decision on that than what you can find out in the wild. The harvesting and crafting all needs to be synergized together. It can't just be, oh, well, we decided to drop some stuff here so you could make a bow that no one's ever going to use. You need to figure it out, and it needs to be real good. Like, it can't be terrible. It can't just be what we've got now. Like, or take it out of the game, I guess. Like, because it's not good right now. Nothing is used. There's no economy. It's very, very much like Embers Adrift in that fashion as well, Draq. So it's not good, and that needs to be fleshed out right away.
My number 3 is going to be character creation. It's even if it's as simple as like 2 hairstyles, all the same face, just something so that not everyone looks exactly the same. Just some kind of differentiation, because there's so much importance in an MMO of creating your character, your avatar, and so having everyone look exactly the same, it's immersion breaking for one thing, but there needs to be something. And we already know, like, at least like we've seen with the humans, right? There's already different hairstyles, and even just changing the color of hair, like it's something important. And they've talked about skin tones and things like that. I think that needs to be in. I think that is something that I know they know is important, but I don't know if they know it's as important as it should be, because people need to feel seen and represented in the game that they're creating too.
I mean, you and Draq completely agree, just in different ways. He wants armor and you want different people.
Oh, no.
Super important.
No. I want it so badly that I made that my number one thing. That's my number one thing on my list.
I didn't look, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine, because we don't get together and like discuss this before we put together these lists. But yes, it's so huge. The idea that I am becoming my avatar is so key to making an MMO feel like an MMO. I have to be living in another world, and that is through being different by the choices I made in character creation. And you don't have to have everything, and it doesn't have to be the best character creator that's ever been made. It can totally be Monsters and Memories, where I just click the arrow.
Yep.
Or EQ, where I just click the arrow and I get 4 different faces and 3 different hairstyles and 3 different colors. But you gotta have something. It's so imperative.
Yeah, get the basis in, and then you build out from there. And then later down the line, people can be excited when they get additional character creating. That's something that's exciting in like basically like every recent MMO. I mean, when WoW has added in new character creation stuff, when Star Wars: The Old Republic, although they normally sell it, when they've added in new character creation stuff, it's cool. It's a fun thing. But having the basis there of just something to have in early access, so not everyone looks exactly the same, I think it's a really important thing. And the armor will come up, don't you worry.
Angry Karen forever.
See, we were on the same vibe here. We just switched them. I think the character creation is more important. You think the armor is more important?
Well, you'll see. You'll see what I have to say.
All right, we're there. Number two. Speaking of an economy, we need an auction house. I know it's a big pain in the neck. I know it's a lot to think about, but if you're going to have an economy in this game and you're actually going to do crafting and you actually want people to like engage with other people, then you got to have an auction house. You got to put it in the game. Or if you're not going to do like a WoW style auction house, you have to put something in, right? You have to come up with a way of how people, if it's going to be like player housing or what you're going to do, but you have to have a way for people to sell their goods that isn't in chat, because that's awful. So you have to figure that piece of it out, I think.
Only crazy people want to sit in an EQ tunnel in East Common Lands and watch text go by for countless hours.
I think the funny thing is, I think there'll be a lot of people that...
That's the best part of the game.
Oh, that is? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm making fun of myself big time.
Okay, yeah. a lot of people that would be upset that that's on Draq's list. And the funny thing is, I'm actually on Draq's side on this. I think an auction house is a good thing, because I think it helps. But I do see the other side of it, the socialization side of it, the commerce side of it. I mean, it's funny because I don't actually think of EverQuest for that. I think of Ultima Online. And I remember, like, because Ultima Online, you didn't have the chat boxes as much, right? You had text above people's heads, but they also had vendors, like at homes and stuff. So I don't know, they kind of had lots of different things going on. But if you wanted to sell things first, like you sold it at the bank. So I don't know.
It doesn't have to be full-blown WoW auction house, right? There's iterations in between. You just have to land on something and get some form of it in.
I'm just not a fan of regional auction houses like ESO and stuff.
Oh, it's so bad. We did that.
It's because people do that for arbitrage.
Yeah, we did that in New World. It was a huge flop.
Yeah,
it did not work at all. Don't make that mistake.
So wait, you mentioned New World. Is that why we put swimming as a bonus?
Yes.
Then you spin for early access.
Swimming is definitely the bonus.
Put swimming in at least a year before launch. I think New World at 2 years.
I mean, if you're gonna have the mermaid race, you have to put swimming in.
Don't call us mermaids.
Fish sticks.
That's better. My number 2, we need to fix this bug where my buffs fall off when I'm zoning. What a giant pain in my ass. We're not even supposed to have zones. Not that we don't care. We don't care about if it zones. Just make it zone. Just make the game work. I don't need seamless zoning, but make my buffs last through it. Don't make me have to wait for that player to be logged in and then I log in and then my buffs happen to come back on. No, if I log out, I've got 30 minutes on that buff. It should still be there when I log back in. It should be there when I zone. This bug needs to be squashed right away.
Speaking of things that I think we could lose, like we're talking about the things that we need. I think we should just get rid of the whole not zoning ever, like the one zone idea. Like if can we take that out and just go back to zones? Because
I think we're already there. I don't think they're going back.
I think that's just a waste of time. No one cares about it, and that we should. Well, Red's probably gonna now pontificate why it's important to the game, but I just think that it's not worth it at the end of the day. So VR, if you're listening, get rid of the whole one zone thing. Put zones in the game. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a nice to have, but it's not a necessity, especially when your zones are as fast as they are. They're very fast. My number 2, I actually combined 2, so maybe this doesn't count. But I combined because it all goes to do with aesthetics, how the world looks, and it's the playable races and armor. And I put them together because they have been put together, right? So the reason why we don't have the ogre is largely because of a new armor system. It's not necessarily just waiting on the ogre. I mean, there are animations obviously that are still working, but it's working on an entire new armor system that's going to be using like not armor system like as in like gameplay, but armor system as in visual looks, so that have the asymmetry of armor and stuff instead of just one singular piece, which I think is gonna be incredible once it's in, but it needs to be in. It's been something we've been waiting for months now, and we'll be waiting for more months until it gets in. And I think that you need to hit the races you talked about, every single one of them, and you need to have the armor in. If you don't have those, that's like almost worse than not having a zone, and at least in my opinion, because it's so key to a first impression to show people what the armor is going to look like and what the player character races are going to look like, at least at that higher fidelity and tier that they've shown with the ogre compared to what it is currently.
And maybe I can stop seeing this game looks like crap. It's never coming out. It's a
no, you
game
won't.
in my comments.
That's forever.
You won't.
Every video we put out is going to say that.
It's a mobile game.
All right.
What I respond to that now is, well, I mean, Black Desert Online mobile is a mobile game that looks pretty good. Like it looks great. Okay.
We just say thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Yep.
Hey, look, if I didn't have hate watchers, I would.
Right?
It'd be a lonely time on the internet, right?
We don't mind the hate. Just
I need their views, okay?
Just understand that we understand the hate, and you don't need to post the hate, right?
No, it helps the algorithm.
I guess. You know what?
Actually, I don't know. I actually don't know. It does help engagement, though.
Number 1. I said it before. I'll say it again. You have to have some form of character creation. This is the most important thing that you need for your early access release. You cannot launch the game with 6 races and have the same face on every one of them. It's gonna be a colossal disaster if you do that. You have to have something. If it's 3 things on each race, that's fine, but it's got to be something. You cannot launch it.
Just an eye patch on
something. You gotta put it.
Draq would love the eye patch. He would love the eye patch.
Whenever I played a human in EQ, I always took the eye patch every single time.
I think most people felt that way.
It
was badass.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my number 1 is very similar to your guys's. You've been talking about character creation. Mine is just, of course, way more selfish because it's my list. But I am so fearful, and I teased this when we were talking about it earlier. Darkmere cannot look like it just was shat out last minute. You cannot. These races can't look bad like the gnome did. Like I guess the dwarf was okay. Like the old ogre was ugly. Like it can't just be like, we functioned this together. We took the human model and stretched out some ears and put some fins on it, and that's it. No, can't look like that. It needs to look like its own race.
So I'm actually surprised that my number 1 wasn't mentioned by anyone in like any of yours.
Well, we're not good people.
Pulse quests and things need to be in, and they are on the list, but they absolutely 100% need to be in. One of the biggest selling points of Pantheon was its all perception system and getting to experience the world in a way that other games hadn't really done in that same way. And no, I'm not expecting it to be like the full system, but there needs to be pulses everywhere in every zone that say, go here, experience this, learn this thing, that tell you a little bit about the zone, even if it's just a handful in every zone. But they need to be there to prove that that's a thing. That was one of the things that they showed in the evaluation build. They need to have it in this game. And they need to have quests that make sense.
Our quests.
Because coming into the game, people are going to be asking, where are the quests? What do I do? Because quests are just a part of MMORPGs now. They don't have to be WoW quests, but there needs to be quests that make sense, that are not just, okay, go to talk to the scavenger and do this to get your stuff for harvesting, or go do this quest to kill one snake somewhere. You know? It's like they need to be a bit more lore focused, I think, more world focused, to evoke the world. And so it's not just one of my biggest complaints about Core Punk right now is the world is bland. It's just incredibly bland. The quests are terrible. They seem like they were written by AI. They used to be voiced by AI. They no longer are, I don't think. Maybe it's a personal thing, but I think it's incredibly important that stuff like that, like world building, is incredibly important. And it's not just the look of the game, it's the words of the game too.
Well, I think that stuff's important to us too. It's just not as important as the visual aspect of the game for us, I guess.
For sure.
But no, you're not alone. I definitely know that this is on at least one list of our raid team that we're going to post right now and look at for the people.
Dymlos, let's make sure that you specifically tear their lists apart, because that's what they're here for. It's for you to make fun of them.
Yeah, so definitely on our raid tier, they have a couple of things that you did mention, Redbeard. Actually, that was Ziplock's number one. You got to have that whole system functioning. So you are not alone out there. That is absolutely
Thank you, Zip.
Very important. Grogu talked about guild functionality. So a lot of things that match our list. Swimming is on both their lists, which is great. Yeah, definitely, of course, races and classes, but yeah, just I think one of the biggest ones that none of us had, that Grogu had, his number one is a robust in-game bug report. Wow.
That's a good one.
That's a really great answer. That is absolutely something we need in-game. Let me tell you, if you've tried to do a report on EQ2, like you type /report, it says, go to the website. Okay, I'm going to the website. /report. Okay, you're making a report. What's the report? You put in the report. Oh, is this about a player? You need to go to another part of the website. Okay, great. So it definitely needs to be robust and in game. I think that's such a great one.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't rag either of these lists. They were actually really good, so there was nothing I could rag about. Great job, raid team. You guys are the best. We can always count on you.
The best
around.
We gotta get
nothing's ever gonna keep you down.
It's like I was hoping Draq would.
All right, guys. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to edit this show down below 3 hours, but we'll see how it goes.
I mean, you got your work cut out for you. Whatever Draq is able to cut this into, if it is even close to an hour, that is a Christmas miracle.
I need food.
But
I'm starving. Oh, I can't believe I've gone 2.5 hours.
Listen, it's
really great show.
It's not my fault. RedBeardFlynn kept giving us gem after gem. How am I going to cut this down?
Yeah, you can't. We may have to release this as a two-parter. Come back
rewind
on Wednesday. We'll set up another premiere. Just kidding. This is all going to go into one. But yeah, no, Red, thank you so much. We really, honestly, I needed this more than probably Draq did. He's the positive guy, but I was in a real shit place. So I feel a lot better. And so thank you for your MMO therapy. I wish I could pay you, but I'm not gonna. So hopefully we'll get a lot of really great people looking at this and thinking that this is great, and then we make some money out of it so that I don't have to pay you. The money will just pay you, and I can say you're welcome.
You know what? Like, people can just come and yell at me in January when we're not.
Yeah, right. Draq really put your name stamped on that, didn't he?
You did.
Boom.
I thought you were gonna say something there. I was like, oh, I would probably say something.
Okay, shit.
No, that's fine. I want Redbeard to be the martyr. You know, we'll just smear his blood all over the Pantheon flag.
Yeah,
Look,
and,
I'll just make a YouTube apology video. It wasn't the thing that I thought I would make a YouTube apology video about, but you know what? Times are changing.
Here we are.
Well, we appreciate you falling on your sword, Redbeard, and we appreciate you for listening to this entire podcast. We will see you next week right here on The Rewind.
Whoop whoop. Bye, everybody.